Actually, there were women who were going to lose their livelihood through this.
They should have thought about that before they thought it was a good idea to sell their starfish online. Go get a proper job.
I wasn't happy doing it. Like, it almost felt like I wanted to like go towards something I desired more. It made my name look bad. Like, being on, it was more like, oh, she's an old girl, and that's just not someone who I wanted to be known as, because there's a lot more of me than just that.
Why'd you do it?
Interview one. Well, if it isn't the consequences of her own actions, grab your popcorn, because we're going to see plenty of that in this video. Interview 2.
The beginning of this year?
Why? If it was lucrative, you should have kept running it up.
It definitely was lucrative, but I felt like I just didn't like going into these bigger meetings, and like once they hear the words, they kind of just turn the cheek, or like they have a certain perspective about you. So it was like, it benefited me very well, but at the same time, I just am in a different phase in my life. I'm getting older. I have nephews and nieces. I really give a about how they feel about me and what they see about me. And it just kind of like just...
3 things that I wish I would have known as a young. Number 1, my self-worth. 2, money isn't everything. Number 3, the damage that did to my mental health.
I've lost my whole family and it sucks. So a lot of times when people ask me if they should do porn, I tell them no. I tell them that it makes life really hard. It makes dating really hard. It makes your family life really hard. It makes intimacy hard. You're putting yourself out there and the world is now judging you. You have to be okay with being shamed every day of your life. I don't even want to have children because I'm worried of the way that people will treat my child. Recently I wanted to go visit him and he said that I can't go visit because his wife, my stepmom, doesn't want me there. I'm not allowed to go visit my dad anymore because my stepmom doesn't like that I do. But then he told me that when I was like, can we like go get coffee and like we could go like get breakfast, and he's like, I don't want to be seen in public with you. And that just hurt so bad and it sucks. I lost my family.
Interview 2. Hulu. Selling your soul for money can destroy your life and reputation. I don't understand why they didn't think about that before making such a choice. Or maybe they simply didn't care, because the promise of quick money made them ignore the whole they were digging for themselves.
Why I'm not a full-time dancer anymore and my money habits as a dancer. We left off in March, which was the last consistent and good month that I've had to date. My first year as a dancer, transparency, I made $130,000, but as y'all saw in part 1, I made $100K of that in the first 3 months. Then literally the rest of the year, I scraped another $30K. I eventually got really tired of like relying on my savings and wasting my time going to the club, because that's what it felt like and that's what it feels like now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love hanging out with my homegirls and like the environment, at least at my club, is pretty chill. But I don't want to be spending money to be hanging out with my homegirls. I could hang out with them for free. So I eventually got a job, and that's why I've been away for 2 years.
The main reason I shut down my OF was because a friend at work found my OF somehow, and I guess I told him my stage name and wasn't thinking, and he subscribed. And I had videos on there from like way back in the day, like so many different hairstyles, so many different weights, so many different pregnancies, and being fat and just doing things like crazy like and things I didn't want someone that I worked with, especially a friend, to see. And then a second person that I worked with in my department mentioned my OF and subscribing to it, and it freaked me out. And the thought of the people that I work with every day seeing me like that, seeing me fat and naked and doing all these and just in that light, it freaked me out, and I shut it down at work like that. In that moment, I stepped away.
So she had no shame while doing it, but suddenly felt ashamed when people found out. All she had to do was simply not do it in the first place.
Really gotten to the point where there are days to weeks at a time where I don't leave my house because I don't feel like facing the world of what has been created out there for me. I get so disappointed when I go out and I meet a new friend and then it turns out they don't want to be my friend anymore. Or I go out and, you know, I don't know, I just hear things and or witness things. It's really easier for me just to stay inside my house and not put myself out there for hurt. I wish that people would treat me how they would treat a married, registered nurse with 2.5 kids in Indiana. That's how I wish people would treat me. I send a very strong message to young girls. Don't do because as much I understand it, you want to embrace your sexuality, you want to say screw the man, screw whatever, like I can do what I want with my body, but you're just gonna have a life of crap in front of you. And you know, they have morality clauses. You can never work with children after you do. You can never work in a medical field after you do.
I think there is some sort of post-traumatic stress that is in you from this experience.
Yes, and I think it kicks in mostly when I go out in public, because the stares I get, I feel like people can see through my clothes, and it brings me deep shame. It makes me feel like I lost all right to my privacy, which I did, because I'm one Google search away.
Yeah, and those images you cannot expunge. You have no right, even though it is deeply personal to you, you have no right to remove them from anybody's view around the world.
Interview 4. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was fully aware of how dark that industry is. Yet she did it anyway, and only stopped once her bank account was full. She's a grown adult. She wasn't clueless. Interview 5.
I want to clarify, I was addicted to anything and everything, but I also was a dancer. And I know a lot of girls that are addicted to dancing and still to this day are dancing, and they were dancing 4 years before me, and they've still been dancing after I quit, and I danced for about 4 years. I think it's a very addictive lifestyle because you get used to instant gratification, a lot of attention, instant money. I think the club definitely enabled my use though, because it was really normalized. The only reason why I got sober and quit dancing is because I met my husband, and me and my husband wanted to start a family. So I decided to get sober so that I could get pregnant. I got pregnant right away, so I stayed sober. And we talked about me going back to dancing if I wanted to after we had our son. But then once we had our son, I just never wanted to leave my kid. That's just how it worked out. I just stopped because I just had a kid and I didn't want to leave my kid.
You say like you were in the traditional corn industry? Just
yeah.
OF. How long have you been doing it for?
About 3 years.
3 years, okay. And when you say you're trying to get out of it, what do you mean?
Yeah, I started it on a whim, got really famous really quickly, so didn't have any time to really think about it. Blew up really quickly, and yeah, as time went on, I got a little bit older, realized, you know, it's not really where a lot of people should be. I think it's just a very dark industry, and there's a lot that isn't, I think, portrayed in the media.
Yeah.
A lot of girls are like, whoa.
Yeah.
I want to clarify, I was addicted to anything and everything, but I also was a dancer. And I know a lot of girls that are addicted to dancing and still to this day are dancing, and they were dancing 4 years before me, and they've still been dancing after I quit, and I danced for about 4 years. I think it's a very addictive lifestyle because you get used to instant gratification, a lot of attention, instant money. I think the club definitely enabled my use though, because it was really normalized. The only reason why I got sober and quit dancing is because I met my husband, and me and my husband wanted to start a family. So I decided to get sober so that I could get pregnant. I got pregnant right away, so I stayed sober. And we talked about me going back to dancing if I wanted to after we had our son. But then once we had our son, I just never wanted to leave my kid. That's just how it worked out. I just stopped because I just had a kid and I didn't want to leave my kid.
You say like you were in the traditional corn industry? Just
Yeah.
OF. How long have you been doing it for?
About 3 years.
3 years, okay. And when you say you're trying to get out of it, what do you mean?
Yeah, I started it on a whim, got really famous really quickly, so didn't have any time to really think about it. Blew up really quickly, and yeah, as time went on, I got a little bit older, realized, you know, it's not really where a lot of people should be. I think it's just a very dark industry, and there's a lot that isn't, I think, portrayed in the media. A lot of girls are like, well,
like I said before, they're not oblivious. They know exactly what they're doing and what the consequences are. They just go ahead with it anyway, assuming that the quick money will somehow fix the mess they're creating for themselves. And honestly, it amazes me how many simps are out there funding this behavior. These men are just as much a part of the problem as the women selling themselves for fast cash.
Going to make $4 million a month doing OF. Don't even think about it. I need you to understand that this Sophie Rain chick is an anomaly. It's not to say that there aren't high earners on the platform, but I promise you, you're not gonna be one of them. The industry is oversaturated. If you aren't already in it, I genuinely would not recommend joining. You're not gonna make $4 million in a month. You know what's gonna happen? Everyone that you don't want to sub, they're gonna be the first ones to sub. Your old high school teachers, your family, your old coworkers, your friends, your exes. Like, I swear to God, they're gonna be the first ones to do it. I know what you're thinking. Well, for $4 million a month, like, I could look past that. You are not gonna be making that. The average creator on the platform earns like less than $500 a month. I think the actual statistic is like less than $200 a month. Don't quote me on that, but just trust me, unless you already have some sort of large platform
Interview
built
6.
up.
I don't know who he thinks he's fooling, but no one is buying his so-called marketing scam course.
I
Interview
regret it
7.
badly. I'm really outing myself here, but maybe this video will help some people. I did OF for about 3 months. You will do some cringy. So I signed with an agency towards the end, and they kind of took all rights of my OF, and they were making me do some cringy TikToks that just did not sit right with me. So I think like after doing that was when I was like, this is actually not who I am and not who I want to be on the internet at all. I wish I had thought about it much harder than I did, because I regret it. And I wish I didn't do that. It was a weird part of my life.
29, I'm dancing on stage, and as I'm dancing, my song completely like stopped, and I heard a worship song playing. I look at the DJ, and he's kind of like giving me like a thumbs up, like I'm doing a good job, you know? But I'm very puzzled, because I'm like, why would he do that to me? I felt so humiliated. And then I go like this to him, like, stop, you know? And he's like giving me a thumbs up, like, no, like, you're doing good, like, you know? And there's like this confusion. But then moments later, I hear my song being played again, and I'm thinking, why is he doing that to me? Yeah. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, like, he's not doing anything. Like, I'm actually audibly hearing a worship song supernaturally. One of the passages that I was reading for 2 years, you were purchased for a price, therefore honor me with your body, literally like pierced my heart. And I said, oh my goodness, Lord, like, you're here, like, with me, like, you're speaking to me here, like, in the club.
Would I recommend anyone becoming an escort? Kind of a loaded question. Would I recommend that people consciously make the decision to view their body as a commodity and sell it for sexual gratification of others, while spending copious amounts of time marketing themselves on red websites, or getting in touch and linking up with someone who gladly distributes women? And then there's the actual act of doing it, so entering into a one-to-one scenario with somebody, or going to some kind of like events, and actually letting people use your sacred body for their own gratification. So to recommend this lifestyle would make me a dangerous person. And obviously, no, I would not recommend that. We're then obviously not considering the 10, 20 years that follow that decision, where you have to actually deal with the aftermath. No, I wouldn't recommend.
I just saw this video of this woman just leaving the club where she worked, and she looked exhausted. She looked so done. And she goes, I need you guys to stop glamorizing being because it's right now. And to be honest with you, I was one of those girls that glamorized being but I was dying. I was so traumatized. It was one of the worst experiences of my entire adult life. Like, I never felt so dehumanized. I felt worse than I did when I was a sugar baby, worse than I did when I was a professional. I I had never been treated like that in any of those things except for when I was dancing at a club. It was horrible. I met some girls there that has worked in that same club for 10 years. I only lasted 3 months. I just stopped showing up and I never went back.
Interview 7. Keep in mind, she said she wouldn't take anything back because she's proud of herself and everything she's done. Yet at the same time, she says her videos are disgusting. In plain English, that means she loves the money but hates that people can actually see what she did to get it. So basically, if she could go back in time, she would still make the same choices, even while calling a mistake, because she still hasn't learned that trading your soul for money is never worth it.
A little bit
Interview
dead inside.
8.
I feel completely desensitized. Not to sound funny, but I really don't feel any type of desire or like attraction to men in general anymore. Just know that if you are a person who's ever been interested in doing this, there really are so many downsides. At this point, and I'm like willing to admit this now, there's no amount of money that you can give me right now to like make me feel like giving myself away in certain aspects, even if they're just a few photos or whatever online. It almost isn't worth it anymore. And while I did have such a strong start and it was so much fun in the beginning, after getting burnt out, I started to just feel really differently about like the types of messages that I was getting. Like seriously, if I had any type of ability to share like the things that people have said, just like how disgusting they are. And also when I get curious and nosy sometimes, like I'll go look at their profile and they have like a whole girlfriend or a whole wife, and sometimes even disgustingly enough they have kids. It makes me feel so conflicted with doing this.
January 1st, 2023, and 2022 I quit dancing at the club, and I just wanted to talk about why, because it really was not a conscious decision that I was just like, okay, this is my last time at the club. I did not plan it out. My body basically was just like, no, like we're not doing this anymore. I would get home and I would have the shakes so bad. And then even then I wasn't so sensitive to my body that even that bothered me. So I'd be like, oh, whatever, maybe I'm just anxious and I was supposed to go to bed. I would wake up and throw up nothing every single day after I worked at the club. So I started to get really, really sick, which caused me then to only go to work maybe like 2 or 3 days a month. And then I'm like, damn, I can't even go in that much. I'm not making that much money while I am there. My boundaries started to be more strong with the men, where it's just like, no, you can't touch me. No, you can't do that. No, you can't talk to me like that. And of course, you make less money when you have more boundaries. So I ended up going back, getting really sick to the point where I came back to Miami and I was sick mentally for like 3 weeks after that experience. So I cut it.
Going through a divorce, I was financially, overwhelmed with debt and trying to get back on my feet. And I used it as a crutch. And I told myself that once I no longer needed the income that I would stop. And once I no longer needed the income, I did not stop. So a couple months ago, I started to feel something telling me that I didn't want to do this anymore. That I didn't feel comfortable doing this anymore. I was letting the messages pile up. I didn't want to respond to anyone. I didn't want to post content, didn't want to take photos. I didn't feel comfortable doing so. I was also so focused on my fitness journey and losing weight, I felt like I was losing all of my femininity. It's been a hard balance of trying to be empowered as a woman, but also adhere and try to listen to the word of God and what he's telling me. And I feel like he's telling me that I've been causing too many people to stumble for too long.
They say smart people learn from other people's mistakes, fools learn from their own. I was very much a fool in most of my decisions.
Even with all the success that you've had, you're an incredible mother now, businesswoman, you're working with Playboy, you still look back on that and you still feel ashamed?
Yeah, I don't like the fact that people can see me naked on the internet or can see those things happening to me. I think that it's gross.
That is crazy that you can build this whole life and you still feel ashamed.
I mean, I'm proud of myself and what I've done, and I wouldn't take anything back. However, it's not like I like the idea that people can view that of me. I personally, those videos make me want to throw up. But that is why I keep talking about it and why I'm open to sharing, because if you can just help one person.
The worst decision I made in my life. Did not realize that I was literally selling parts of my soul and the money could have never made it worth it. Just wish that someone would have warned me and told me that I was going to be later experiencing PTSD from the trauma and the experiences that I was subjecting myself to on a daily basis. Did not know that I would later need to be in trauma counseling. It brought me into way darker places than I ever could have imagined, and I never want to go back there. Wish I could go back in time to who I was before I started doing all that stuff and just tell myself that the money is not worth it. Keep your happiness. And that's all I want to tell any girl who's thinking about starting an account. I just hope I can save even just one girl from going through the pain and the trauma that I am now going through because I subjected myself to that.
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you'll love the next one. I'll see you there.